Hi everyone, I'm Rico from Film Club. I'm here today with one of our young ambassadors, Kerry.
Hiya, I'm Kerry and we're at the Edinburgh Film Festival today and we'd like to welcome you to today's webcast. We're broadcasting interviews with filmmakers all week. We're here today with Tom Senior, the writer, director and lead animator of short film Nomads, and Kate Charter, the writer, director and animator of another short film, Hannah and the Moon. Hi.
Hi everyone. All right.
Both films are screening here at the Edinburgh International Film Festival.
Okay, just before we get started, we'd love to hear your thoughts and comments throughout the interview, and you can send us to that via Twitter, just by putting @FilmClubUK before every tweet. You can also text us, there should be a number scrolling across the screen now. And you can also email us at joey@filmclub.org. That's in Joey as in the baby kangaroo, that's JOEY@filmclub.org. And if we encounter any technical hitches at all today, just bear with us, we'll try and clear them up as soon as we can.
So let's get it started. Welcome to Tom and Kate, and thank you both for joining us today.
No problem.
Yeah. Thank you.
Can you both tell us a little bit about your films? Let's start with you, Tom. What's Nomads about?
Nomads is a hand-drawn animation about 4 characters. There's a man, a woman, a boy and a dog, and they all live in a world where they don't really take much care of the environment. And eventually, rather than kind of sustaining the land and making use of all of the valuable assets of the land, they kind of grab it all with both hands and take too much from the land and end up eventually destroying it. So they kind of have to run away at the end of the film and find somewhere else to live. So it's kind of a bit of a sad ending, but not too sad.
And Kate, can you tell us what Hannah and the Moon is about?
The story is, again, hand-drawn animation, quite traditionally made, about a little girl who's not particularly happy at home. She's just a little bit bored at home and she makes friends with the moon. And then on a particularly foggy night, she can't find the moon in the sky and she gets worried that her friend is gone. So she heads out to find it on an adventure into the dark, in the fog.
Both films are beautiful, by the way. We're just going to have a quick look at a clip from Tom's film Nomads first. We'll also be answering some of your questions afterwards as well. So keep your peepers peeled and keep the questions coming in. We're back. So Tom, what kind of animation is this? Can you talk us through some of the techniques?
Yeah, well, it's hand-drawn. I kind of use a lot of paints as well. And it might feel like quite an old way of making an animation, actually, because usually these days we use computers quite a lot. The cartoons that we see on the television use computers to do the drawings, and it's a very good way of making quite nice-looking animation quite quickly. But while I was at university, I made the hand-drawn animation, which is you kind of start with one drawing and then make another drawing that's quite similar but just a bit different and put them all in a line next to each other. And when you play them through like a flip book, you get movement with the drawings. So I think in my film I must have made about 5,000 drawings, so quite a lot of work.
Yeah, absolutely. It's paid off because it's, you know, I think you get an emotional response to hand-drawn animation that you don't get from other digital forms. So
thank you, yeah.
It's brilliant.
Well, we've got a question via email from a pupil at Chadlewood School, and they would like to know how old you both were when you first started making animations. How old were you, Kate?
Well, I didn't really consider animation because I'd never come across it. They didn't teach it at my school or anything. So I came to university to do art and design and did a foundation year at university, and that's when I first tried animation. Made my first 1 second of film about a frog, and I would have been 19, so it wasn't a young start for me. But I wish I had, because I really enjoy the work of younger animators, and I would have loved to have my own back catalogue to look at now, but unfortunately I didn't come across it.
Same for me, really. I'd never made an animation until I got to the stage where I was about to leave high school, and I thought, what would be a good way of kind of making money whilst being creative? And I decided that animation might suit my personality, because you've got to enjoy making stories and be quite patient, because it takes a long time often to make the films. Yeah, I just decided that I'd start being an animator when I was 18 years old at university.
So Kate, what do you feel is the best thing about your job?
About making animation, I think it's probably the storytelling, and perhaps being able to watch cartoons and call it research. That's a good highlight. Saturday morning cartoons. So for me, maybe that.
I like to draw lots and make money by drawing pictures. I think that's really nice.
Making a living out of what you love.
It's a great thing to be able to do. And also, if you concentrate quite hard on your drawing, you can often have a little video on the internet as well at the same time, and be watching something interesting while you're at work, while no one else is watching. So it makes the working day a bit more interesting.
Definitely.
Can you recommend an animated film for primary school age?
Animated film, well, when I was growing up, it was Disney films that everybody loved to watch, and I'm sure Disney are kind of the pinnacle, aren't they, and Pixar these days as well. I used to love watching all of those films. I think kind of when you get to university, making the kind of films that I make and my peers are making at the moment, there's such a diverse range of films. Often they're aimed at adults and often at children. But certainly I think the Pixar and the big films that you see on the cinema screens are often sort of PG rated or kind of made with children in mind. So
some really lovely ones coming out at the moment where the CG is kind of taking off, and a lot of the studios are picking up really well-known children's books. So and they're managing to animate them and really keep the magic of the children's book. So like the Gruffalo that was on TV last Christmas, and they did the Gruffalo's Child this year. There's also the Oliver Jeffers picture books, which I think all children should know if they don't know them. They're beautiful. And there's the one called Lost and Found about a penguin and a boy, and they've animated that, and it's about, I think it's maybe 20 minutes long, and it's just a really lovely story. For a little short animation.
It's interesting you mention the Gruffalo, because we've done a fair bit of work with the Gruffalo at Film Club, and we're always putting on events. Some of the filmmakers involved with the Gruffalo have actually worked with us at Film Club, and it's always incredibly popular, well-received film. So thanks for mentioning that. You can look at some of those on the Film Club website as well. I was about to ask, what's the very first thing that you do when you get a brilliant idea for an animation? How would things start off for you, Kate?
I try and tell it to someone. I find, because I have a lot of ideas in my head all the time, and to actually kind of separate, was that an idea or not, just to I've had this idea, and that forces you to make it a bit more logical, because you've got to communicate it to someone else, and then if they're just judging from their response to that, I'd take it to a sketchbook. I love character design. I'd get going with some characters for it, and then the story would kind of follow along from the idea and the.
Do you ever dress up at all?
No, but maybe I will. I will now.
Good stuff. How about yourself, Tom?
Talking to somebody else is a really great idea, actually, because I think for me, you've almost got so many ideas. It takes such a long time to make an animation that in the time that you've made one film, you might have another 20 ideas of what you want to do next. So it's really a good idea to speak to other people and get their ideas and see which ideas are working. And from there, you might start to do the initial drawings. And usually I start with one drawing and then do another one, and it just keeps building and building until eventually you have a film. Yeah.
And the more ideas you have, the more chance you have of having a good one, I suppose,
That's it.
We're just going to have a quick look at a clip from your film, Kate. So please enjoy this taster of Hannah and the Moon, and there'll be more questions coming up after that.
So, Kate, can you tell us what type of animation this is?
Similar as Nomads, really. Traditional, hand-drawn. I didn't get to 5,000. I think I only did 3,000 drawings for it. But I work by drawing the character and then drawing it at the end of the sequence, and then I do the drawing in the middle until I've got a whole sequence, like the flipbook style. I work with a few other people as well, and they help me to neaten up the drawings, and we put them through a line tester, so it's kind of a digital flipbook, so we can check that it's working how we want, and then it goes and we colour it in. And the colouring actually takes the longest out of anything. Oh. It's digitally coloured. I used some textures which I scanned in, so it looks kind of collagey, and I wanted it to kind of look like a picture book with the text working with the
Yeah, I think we both really loved that, didn't we? The use of the text as furniture.
Yeah, I mean, I love illustrated books, picture books, and that's the feel that I wanted to bring. So I wanted to scan some actual materials, and there's, you know, like the work of Lauren Child and her Charlie and Lola stories, where it looks like that. It's kind of textures that she's found and photographs and collaged them together digitally. So that's the technique that I used.
So we have a question from Holton Junior School, and they'd like to know how much animation you can get done in one day.
Good question, Holton Junior School. I mean, it really depends on what style you're using. I think hand-drawn, if I spent the whole day working as soon as I got up to sort of really late at night, 8 or 9 o'clock, then I might be able to do 10 seconds. But usually in a working day, 4 seconds is a good amount of animation to be able to do.
If you're really wanting to get your ideas out quickly, sometimes a lovely way to work is under the camera with either sand or cut out puppets. And you can get a minute probably of cutouts in a day if you if you just want to cut out the legs and the arms so that they move separately, and you can do it straight under the camera. You could get maybe a minute that way. So that's.
So what do you like most about the Edinburgh Film Festival?
Not the weather at the moment, maybe.
Not this week.
Got to put up with the weather, haven't you?
True.
The highlight for me every year is the Scottish primary school's animation competition. I love to see, I think they run workshops with the schools, and they give them plasticine, and they make their films, and they just have the most wonderful ideas about films about a giraffe that went to space, and you just think, I wish my ideas were that free, and I love to see that every year. Okay.
And that's the thing, you do get ideas by coming to see other people's work, and a festival like Edinburgh, it kind of brings a collection of a lot of the best animation and diverse ranges of films as well. So you can sit in a screening and watch all of the films and see what everybody else has been doing, and kind of imagine what your next film might be. Maybe get some ideas from some of the ways that other people have been making films, or the stories that they've written as well. So that's what I like about it.
I can imagine animating a lot of the time is quite a solitary activity as well. So
it is,
meeting people who've made other films, it's great, and sharing new ideas and talking about their ideas is really interesting.
Have you seen any films at the festival just recently that you would recommend to young people aged 8 to 13?
At the animation shorts screening this week, there was one, it's called Head Over Heels. It's a stop motion, so there's puppets about a couple who live in a house which is flying through space, quite similar to Up in that, like, there's a house in space, but one of them lives on the floor and the other lives on the ceiling, so they've got these two separate worlds, and they're kind of interacting, and it's about their relationship together and how they managed to work as a family in this upside down house. And it was a really lovely, heartwarming story. I really enjoyed that one. I'd recommend that.
Yeah.
Anything's particularly grabbed you, Tom? I know you've only just got to Edinburgh, but
I have only just got here. The screening for that's aimed at this age range is actually this afternoon, so I'm looking forward to having a watch. But I haven't seen any of the films on the list yet, so it's going to be exciting for me as well to see.
Yeah. Okay, cool. We've had a couple of questions in through Twitter. Thanks very much, everyone, for your questions. Lucy asked a question for Tom, and it's, where do they go in the hot air balloon?
Hi, Lucy. The reason that we don't know is because one of the nice things about making a film is leaving things to the viewer's imagination. so that as you're watching the film, you can have your own ideas about what happens next, and it will be different to what other people think happens next as well. So I don't actually know what happens next because I didn't resolve that in the film, but maybe you could tell me what happens next.
Yeah. For your imagination to find out, maybe make a film about it. And why did you make it in black and white? Was that a deliberate choice?
Yeah, I felt that it looked quite nice in black and white because it, if I'd have made it in colour, it was quite the style would have lost a bit of the feeling that I wanted to create. It's quite almost a dark mood, so the image looks a bit dark as well, which complements that quite well, I think.
Yeah, I think that works fantastically well. I've got a question for you, Kate, and that was what inspired the use of words in Hannah and the Moon?
Actually, it was the new kind of ebook thing that's coming out, like on apps and stuff like that. I know some kids, like friends of family, they're about 6, and were showing me these amazing books, and I thought, like, and often with ebooks, I felt that they're kind of just pictures with the words, but you can scroll through, and I thought, animation could just work wonderfully here, and then I thought, like, why not have the text with the animation? And I don't know very much about computer programming, so I thought, well, I can do animation. I'll just make a film with the text. And, you know, I would love to have a go at making an app as well, but that was the thing that inspired it. And then rummaging through picture books for hours, looking for a story and just falling in love with the aesthetic of the book.
Yeah, I think it's one of the most original features about the film. I think it's ended up, you know, working really, really well. And one more question we've got from Twitter. Dan asks, thanks Dan, what films, if any, inspired both of you to do animation? Why do you think, is there one film you can pin down that inspired you to do work? It doesn't have to be animation.
I think what maybe started my love for it was Saturday morning cartoons. I mean, that was a long time before I actually started to make it. I still watch things like Scooby-Doo and Tom and Jerry quite a lot, and I think, you know, at a young age I had that on a lot, and that kind of filtered through into wanting to do it later on.
Yeah, the same, I think. Well, I mean, they're really good fun to watch, aren't they, cartoons on the television, so I thought that would be a good thing to do as a career as well. And then when I got to university, I started to see films by directors that I'd not heard of before, but I really like Caroline Leaf's work, and a Russian animator called Yuri Norstein as well. I like a lot of his films, and I think when you're watching other people's stuff, it kind of inevitably influences the work that you make as well. So it's good to have directors and people that have made films before you in your mind when you're making stuff for yourself.
Yeah. And have your tastes changed as you've gone on in life?
I think for me, I wouldn't say my taste has changed, but I've realised that my strengths lie in drawing. Yeah. You know, I don't make animations by moving plasticine around because I find it too annoying and I can't do it very well. But I like to think that I can draw quite well, so that's the thing that I've focused on when I'm making films.
Yeah, brilliant. How about yourself, Kate? How have your tastes changed over time? Do you still go back to the books that you used to?
Yeah, I mean, the inspiration for the story for Hannah and the Moon, a lot of that came from books from my own childhood, and I still enjoy those stories. Yeah. I love going into like Waterstones and the bookshops where you can just go into the children's book section, and they've got a lot more exciting since I was a child. Now they're beautiful, and so I don't think my taste has changed, but what's available has got better. So I enjoy it more now, if anything, reading that kind of thing.
Absolutely brilliant to hear. Well, that's absolutely all we've got time for today.
Yeah, thank you for sending in your questions and comments, and thanks very much to Kate and Tom for joining us today. It's been really inspirational, and we wish you the best of luck with your film.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, guys. And tune in tomorrow from 3:30. We'll be interviewing Vitaly Shishinava, it's easy for me to say, director of Tea Party, and Hui Ching Seng. Both these films are part of the Family Shorts programme here at the Edinburgh International Film Festival. So we'll see you then. Thank you very much, Kerry.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, everyone. Take care. Bye for now.